Leading the Crew-8 team to the International Space Station is NASA astronaut Matthew Dominick. The Colorado native is no stranger to taking leadership roles. After earning 2 degrees in engineering, he went on to the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School. That put him on a path to logging more than 1,600 hours of flight time in 28 aircraft.
You look at the movies and you think edge of the envelope flying to the into the envelope of the aircraft, but a lot of test piloting is the planning and the engineering and working with the great teams of people to make it happen, and then every now and then you go fly a test flight at the edge of the envelope.
He says stepping into the spaceflight world with SpaceX's Crew-8 spacecraft is not too different, especially when it comes to the team dynamic.
When we would go fly test flights, we would have specially modified aircraft where I'd be the one in the aircraft, but there'd be a flight test team of 20 people in a control room managing that and watching every parameter. A guy watching the engine, a guy watching the hydraulics, a person watching these things, managing the whole thing. And so that is much the same construct we have here.
Dominick was selected as a member of the 2017 astronaut class, nicknamed the Turtles. The first in their class to head to space, Caleb Barron and Rajat Chari, launched as members of the Crew-3 mission back in 2021. Lovingly dubbed the Turtle Takeover by Chari, it's been a point of pride for the Turtles that, since the launch of Crew-3, a member of their class has always been on orbit.
We very nearly lost that. Luckily, there was a small accident with a booster that drove into a bridge. Because Crew-5 is great. Crew-5 is a great group of people, but their one drawback is there's no turtles. And so that moved the Crew-5 launch. It allowed Frank to bridge the gap of continuous turtle presence in space between Crew-4 and Crew-6.
In addition to keeping this legacy going, Dominick also had the chance to participate in another piece of newer NASA iconography, the T-38 flyby leading up to the Artemis 1 launch to the moon.
I paid the penalty for opening my mouth and saying, hey, we've got this big rocket that's going to go to the moon sitting on this pad. It's the first time it's ever launched. Why don't we should, and we have these T-38 jets we fly for training, why don't we do a cool flyby and get a picture of them flying by the rocket? And the response was, great idea, you get to plan it. So there is the good idea fairy kicked in and we got to plan it. So we sat down and figured it out. We used some software to figure out what the sun angles were going to be to plan the flight, and then we had 4 T-38s and then what we would call a chase plane, which is another T-38 out of frame with a professional photographer in the back to go do a picture of the SLS with 4 T-38s flying by. So, I mean, that's just a cool picture, and the result is that picture's now all over Kennedy Space Center and Johnson Space Center when you walk around. So I appreciated it. I enjoyed getting the chance to put that together.
During his 6-month stay on the International Space Station, Dominick says he plans to follow in the footsteps of another turtle, Woody Hoberg, and build upon his Day in the Life video series.
We were going through a class, we were going through station, and I was looking at some of the things. I said, oh man, I think we could take some cool multi-camera views and really capture some of the Day in the Life stuff, or some of the things that, there are things that I find interesting that are niche, and other people find things interesting, and finding unique ways to capture those. And I've been looking at some of the cameras we have and how to capture multi-angle views of some of the unique aspects of Space Station that people don't really know.
Helping to support this work and participating in dozens of science experiments in that 6-month stay, Dominick says he'll rely upon the beverage of choice for himself and lots of folks here on Earth, a nice cup of coffee.
I have sampled a large variety of instant coffees. That's not something I'd take apart on Earth normally. I'd prefer manually brewing coffees and grinding and weighing and massing. I'm a scientist. I'm a giant coffee nerd. But on orbit, we are restricted. So I went through a sampling period of all these instant coffees, and a crewmate of mine, or a classmate of mine, Laurel, another contributor, continuous turtle presence in orbit, she enlightened me to a particular brand, and now I'm all over that stuff. So we've launched a fair bit of that into the coffee stores so I can have black coffee at orbit.
Reporting for Spaceflight Now, I'm Will Robinson Smith.